Hello, I'm Trent, aka Trademark here. I want to talk to you guys about relics, which relics you should go for, which relics are best on which characters, etc., etc. So if you guys don't know, relics are in here in the game. You just head over to Gilgamesh here, talk to him. You can craft the relics. All of the relic materials are obtained within the legendary stages. And the easiest way to kind of think of it is that all of the demonic items, okay, all of the demonic items basically come from stage 2. All of the fairy items come from stage 1, plus the wind splinter. I guess you could think of it as like the fairy splinter. The fairy items come from stage 1, demonic items from stage 2. Everything else, the magic scrolls, the holy sprigs, empty tomes, ingots, or iron ore, I guess, comes from either of the legendary stages. So, yeah, as far as getting the materials to actually craft them, that's what you need to get. And then you can craft one of basically 5 relics. Now, the first 2 relics that you can craft are just the basic ones, are the Still Shiv and the Amplifying Codex. Now, these are pretty basic. They essentially give you a chance to deal additional physical power or penetration against armor, or they can deal additional percentage damage. Okay. So Amplifying Codex is for magic damage. Still Shiv is for physical damage. All right. The way that it works, as far as the actual code is concerned, is that you have, every time you craft something, there's a chance of it being either just the flat power increase, or the percentage increase, or the penetration. So it's a 40% chance to roll just the flat increase, a 40% chance to roll the penetration, and then only a 20% chance to roll the percentage damage. So the percentage damage is the best one to roll. And then I would say that the flat power is the second best one to roll. So you want one of those two. Penetration, in my opinion, is completely worthless, and I'll explain why in a second. But that's the Still Shiv and the Amplifying Codex. Next up, we have the big guys, the mythic relics. Now, these are very difficult to farm. I've been farming pretty much all day yesterday, all day today, and the closest I am to getting one is the 5-leaf clover, and I'm still a ways away from actually crafting this. So they're pretty insane. They're a very, very hefty grind to actually get, but they come with some pretty cool benefits as well. So the first thing that you'll notice is they have a guaranteed 100% chance to roll a percentage damage buff. Let's actually just look at this one. It will explain it better. You're always going to get either a magic damage buff for Clover of the Wind and Mermaid Crowd, or a physical damage buff percentage based for 5-leaf clover. Okay. Now, you'll notice back here that the actual range that you can roll within is 2 to 5%. So that is your most important roll. Try and get as close to 5% as possible. You'll notice that these relics rolled 4%, 4%, and 4%. So anything above, like 3.5%, you're looking good. Okay. Next up, you're going to roll a secondary type of, basically, for the 5-leaf clover, you're going to roll dark. For the Clover of the Wind, you're going to roll air, and for Mermaid Crown, you're going to roll water damage. And it's just like the Still Shiver Amplifying Codex. You're basically going to get a chance to get penetration, percentage damage, or flat damage increase, or they call it power, which, based upon reading the Discord channel, power seems to be some sort of DPS increase. It's just the flat damage increase is the way that I look at it. Versus percentage damage is obviously going to be better for most characters. But so what you're looking for here, again, the best stat for you to roll is going to be percentage damage. The second best one is going to be percentage, or just the flat power. And then finally, plus pen is the worst one. And I'll kind of explain why. So the reason why penetration is so bad is that the formula for actually calculating the reduction, let me just grab that real fast here. Okay, so it's 100 divided by 100 plus the resistance value. Now, most units that have like magic or physical resistance in the legendary stages are like 150 to 200 armor. So look at this. If they have 200 armor, they're only taking 33% damage. If they have 150 armor, they're only taking like 40% damage, right? So let's say that you penetrate, I don't know, you roll a perfect penetration and you penetrate 50 of their armor, which means that they're down to 150 armor. You still only go from dealing 33% damage to dealing 40% damage. Like, that's an awful increase. It's hardly increasing your damage at all. And the reason why it's so bad is because when you're on stage 1, right, you're always going up against units that have magic resistance. So if you just take physical damage units, you can just bypass all the penetration and do full damage. You can do 100% damage to every single unit. And then if you're playing on Legendary Stage 2, if you just bring magic units, like, you'll just do 100% damage to all the physical resistance. So my point is, imagine that you're playing a game of rock, paper, scissors against someone, but you always know that the other person is going to throw rock, right? Like, why would you ever throw scissors? It doesn't matter if you have a super powered up scissors. Like, you just know what the enemy is going to throw at you. And that's how this game is currently it's set up. The stages, you know exactly what armor type they're going to have, and all of the units have that. So there's no real reason to actually run penetration on a unit, because you can just run the damage type, which is going to do full damage anyways, and completely bypass this nonsense. So that's why I think penetration is entirely worthless, and I would never actually go for it. There's one final relic called Black Blade Autumn Water. That's actually a drop from Thriller Park. It drops from Ryoma and Thriller Park. So it's a pretty low chance. I forget what it was, but basically that's how you get that. But it's just physical penetration. So again, it's pretty garbage. Let's talk about which units are going to benefit most from the relics, though, because when you craft mythic relics, you can actually equip them on everything. And so the way that's going to work is that the 5-leaf clover is going to be it's basically best in slot for any physical unit. The best physical damage units are going to be units like Asta, Erza Lightning, or any Erza form does physical damage. So any of the Erza forms, a unit like Cell Super Perfect, anything that can benefit from the additional physical damage, plus the you're also going to actually deal bonus damage against anything with magic resistance. So this is where, on like Legendary Stage 1, you're not only going to do bonus physical damage, you're also going to do additional damage versus people or enemies with magical armor. So throwing this on someone like Asta Evolved or Erza or Cell Super Perfect is just going to absolutely wreck that stage. Definitely craft this because it's best in slot relic for any physical damage unit. Now let's talk about Clover of the Wind and Mermaid Crown. They both do percentage magic damage. They both do basically penetration on their secondary type, which is going to be air or water. So you have to kind of keep in mind which actually things you actually have. But then finally you have the Fairy Blessing and the Sea Serpent's Boon. So let's talk about their unique traits here, because this is important. For the Clover of the Wind, it's literally just a percent magic damage increased against flying enemies. So you want to equip Clover of the Wind on a unit that can actually hit air, and a unit that does magic damage. So your options are Yuno, Jelly. You also have like someone like Adult Gone or Ghetto, also deal magic damage, but they only are going to hit air later on, right? But you're going to deal additional magic damage versus those flying enemies. And so those are the type of units that you would want to put Clover of the Wind on. Now for Mermaid Crowd, it's a little bit different, because the way that the Sea Serpent's Boon works is each water damage hit reduces the enemy's magic resistance by a flat amount. Now I thought I was reading this wrong at first, because this is an absolutely garbage passive, unique passive. what this is saying is that when you deal a water damage hit, so for example, this is supposedly, I mean, this is pretty much based for Noelle, right? If you were to build this for Noelle, who does water damage, she only has a one-hit attack, and so you would only decrease the enemy's armor by 2.6 every time she attacks, which is every 8 seconds. I mean, that's horrible. Going back to like the armor values that I was saying, if you go from dealing 33% damage to doing 34% damage every 8 seconds, that's absolutely horrendous. I hope that I'm misunderstanding something about this passive, because as I see it right now, the Mermaid Crown I would never ever craft. If they changed it from water damage hits to like any type of damage, then you could put it on some unit that had like a really high multi-hit count, or you know, and then it might be okay because you'd trigger that enemy resistance a lot more. But yeah, like as it stands, this is really just awful. And so I would recommend you never crafting the Mermaid Crown. Essentially, the only two you should be crafting is going to be Clover of the Wind for your units that hit air damage and do magic damage, and then 5-leaf Clover for your physical damage units. Technically, if you are going to craft a magic damage relic for a magic damage unit that does not attack air, someone like Gojo, then yes, Mermaid Crown would be better for Gojo, but it's just still so awful, right? Like let's take for example Yuta, or no, actually Gojo and Yuta don't even proc this this percentage down here, so they gain nothing from the secondary, they gain nothing from the passive, and they're just going to gain the flat magic damage. So Clover of the Wind would be the exact same on one of them. So honestly, I mean, we could look at the typings and see if there's a better water damage unit which could actually utilize Mermaid Crown, and maybe I'll look into that at some point. But as I see it now, unless I'm just completely misunderstanding something, this is by far the worst mythic relic. Avoid this. These two are going to be the ones to go for, and there are certain units like Yuno is really going to shine with this one, Clover of the Wind. He's going to just absolutely pop off. He's already, in my opinion, going to be the best air or heal unit in the game, and now he's going to get bonus magic damage, bonus damage for his air attacks, and then bonus damage versus flying enemies. So this is like built exactly for Yuno. But basically those are the relics here. Now, as far as them being worth the grind, because it is a severe grind to actually get these, I would say you want to get at least one 5-leaf Clover and at least one Clover of the Wind. But past that, I mean, I don't think it's really going to be worth it to go past that. You can only equip 6 relics on your team, so 1 relic per team, or per unit that you're running. So yeah, ideally you would run 5-leaf Clovers on every physical damage unit that you have, and Clover of the Winds on every magic damage units that you have. But I wouldn't. I mean, good luck doing that. It's going to be a really severe grind, like I said, to actually get that. Maybe if these are, if these are a permanent addition to the game, my guess is that they will introduce new mythic relics at some point, and then hopefully there's additional options for magic damage and physical damage. So maybe just save your materials for that point if you do have a surplus of these relics. But anyways, guys, that's kind of how relics work. So just keep in mind you're shooting for as close to 5% on your damage roll as possible. You want on your second damage roll, you want a percentage as well. And then finally, you want to make sure that you're equipping them on the correct unit. So like I said, if you want the cheap free-to-play option, or you don't want to grind a lot, then I would just roll for Still Shivs or Amplifying Codex. Just roll for the percentage damage increase, as close to the 4%. You can only roll up to 4% on Still Shiv or Amplifying Codex. That's what I would roll for if you're just trying to do that. But like I said, it's only 1 in 5 chance. So you're going to have to roll like 5 or craft 5 Shivs or 5 Codexes on average to actually get the percentage damage increase. But yeah, that's relics in a nutshell and what they're best used for. I'm going to continue grinding, hopefully get Yuno and Asta, and I'll probably craft the 5-leaf clover and put it on my Heirs of Lightning, and then I'll probably get Clover of the Wind, hopefully get Yuno evolved so that I can put it on him. But anyways, guys, that's it for me. Malo Alpito. Thanks for watching, and peace. I'm out of here.